Hello everyone and welcome to WSCI Studio. And we are here at ProWine Mumbai, and the whole idea is to meet the visitors here and the producers of India who are displaying their products here and expecting a better response. ProWine Mumbai 22 is the second comprehensive exhibition, and today we are with Mr. Ravi Vishwanathan, and he is a known name in India. He is the chairman of Grover Zampa Vineyards. Hello, Mr. Vishwanathan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And I hope ProWine Mumbai is treating you well.
So far, so good. We can't complain.
So, ProWine started in 1994, and the message result of one. But today here in India, I think that last year was the first time, and this
Correct.
is the comprehensive one.
Yeah.
And we have 100 plus exhibitor here. So you also have a stall. So how far is the experience till now?
So far, we are very pleased with the experience. I must say that we have been a supporter of ProWine since almost the very beginning. Grover has been the only Indian winery present at ProWine for the last 15 years or so. And so we are happy to strengthen our association with ProWine by being here in Mumbai, and we hope this event will continue next year and the years after very successfully. We are very happy with it.
So you already experienced Dusseldorf ProWine. So is there any kind of comparison we can do with this 22 Mumbai ProWine Mumbai?
Well, the scale is massively different, but the format is very much the same. An interesting thing about ProWine Düsseldorf, it's very business focused. People want to come not only to taste wine, but to talk business. Whether I import, whether I export, whether I'm a restaurant, whether I'm a shop. And I think the spirit here is the same. We've had very good crowd in terms of the questions and in terms of the business interaction. And I hope it continues, but it's very important for this effort to continue. And of course, we'll
Interesting. So I think Grover is the pioneer in Indian wine, and you are producing wine since mid 70s.
somewhat later. I think the first vintage was in the early 90s.
90s. Okay. So, we came across a long way. So, if you can just, put some light on the journey.
Oh, it's been, we went from a few thousand bottles a year to now we have a capacity of 4 million liters across our wineries. We used to have one small winery. Now we have four wineries in India, and we are planning a fifth winery. So it's been the wine market has grown in India for next to nothing at something like 20% a year. It's still very small by world standard, but it's growing very fast, and we hope it continues.
We always look at India from a brown spirits market. So, what's your opinion about that?
It's a misconception. I think India is a whiskey market in the north. It's a brandy market in the south, but that's only for the men. Indian women don't drink hard spirits, which means that at least of the population, if not more, is the right target for the wine industry.
And
And today you cannot go to it's wedding season is starting. You cannot go to wedding in Mumbai what wine being served. 20 years ago, there was not a single wedding where you had wine served, wine and champagne. Right? Today, you cannot have a wedding without wine and sparkling.
everything is changing.
Everything is changing.
That's
And wine is a big, there's a big difference in wine with the other alcohol formats in India, especially whiskey and equivalent, is wine is usually with food. Indians have an habit of drinking at the club a few whiskeys and then they go to eat. But when they eat, they don't drink whiskey. They drink it before. Wine is the only thing you drink while you eat. And more restaurants everywhere, especially in the metros, are now, you see people having wine on the table. May have had whiskeys before, but during dinner, there's no competition.
Yeah. Being a pioneer in Indian wine, what's the vision for next 5 years, next 10 years?
Well, the reason we got involved is because we think that in India, the terroir, the climate, and our understanding of it is such that now we can make world quality wines. The idea is not to make bad wines. The idea is to make world quality wine. And that's what we aim to achieve. And I think that's where we are today. Not only my company, the whole industry, the quality, not to be bad mouthing Chinese wineries, but at the same stage, today the average Chinese wine is no comparison with Indian wine. An Indian wine, average Indian wine, blind tasting, way better than an average Chinese wine. The focus in India has always been about quality, and I think that's good, and it will continue. And we think that within the next 25 years, in one generation, India will be the biggest market in the world for wine. It has the right population for it, the right demographics, young population, more and more educated people, more and more women are now turning to alcohol product, but not hard spirits. So this will be a story of secular growth for the next at least 25 years.
And one integral thing which is trending for last 2 3 years, that if you talk about Indian single malt, you are talking about Indian gin or Indian wine. The alcohol industry of India is going towards that premiumization and good quality things. I think this is a very positive sign.
No, I think in 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even today to some extent, people look at the bottle and say, is it imported or is it? Now people are more looking at, which wine is it? Because they know now that most Indian wines are better in quality than imported wines of maybe twice or three times the price. And there's now pride about drinking something Indian, which Amrut has done very well, and all the others have done the same. But I think now there's more of pride of buying something Indian than there was 20, 15 years ago, where imported this.
For my thought process, I always think India first. And today, I think the young generation, they are very feel proud of drinking something Indian, which is good quality, which is changing in a very drastic way. And many of the quality products are exported outside. So we got a good appreciation outside India also.
Grover is probably the number one wine exporter out of India.
Wow.
We export around 10-15% of our production. I don't remember the precise figure, but the very interesting thing is our number one market in the world outside of India is France.
Wow, the hub for wine.
Yeah, we sell wines and we don't sell them to an Indian community in France.
Mhm.
There's no Indian community in France. There's none. It's
Yeah.
not the UK.
Yeah.
So we sell them to French people. We sell wine, same thing. Our second biggest market is Japan. Japanese are crazy about quality.
Wow.
And
Yes.
there are virtually no Indians in Japan.
Yeah.
So we don't sell to Indians in Japan. We sell to the Japanese.
Yes.
And these
Indian
are
wine
two.
to the Japanese.
Yes, and these are two. If you Japan Airlines is raving about our wines. It's on their online website in Japan. You can buy Grover wine on Japan Airlines website in Japan.
Wow.
So we are doing this effort, and we continue doing this effort to export. But our focus is still the Indian consumer.
Okay.
Export is still never going to be a huge part of our business. Our business is to grow the wine industry here in India for Indian consumers.
And it's growing.
It's
And
growing.
It's growing double digit.
The double digit, yeah.
Yeah, I think that is.
It's the fastest growing alcohol segment in the country. Much more than beer, much more than craft beer, much more than whiskey. And one of the reasons is that the one half of the population who doesn't drink
Yes.
is getting into wine.
What is your view about premiumization? Because Today, if you are looking at all alcohol bev companies, may it be Diageo and all those, everybody is looking at premiumization. So, what is your thought process?
I think it's part of the new lifestyle. People are more conscious about health, about calories, about all these things. So they're happy to drink. They're happy to drink more socially. The idea of drinking alone, I think, appeals less to the millennials and the younger generation. Happy to drink with friends and for events, and that's fine. But it needs to be good. So the premium segment of any alcohol business today in India is growing much faster than the base segment.
And during COVID, we saw one thing that, for an example, if you are drinking a wine in a five-star hotel or a restaurant, it is what 300% of your the same from the retail. So, the retail sale increased and people slowly and gradually, went to the next step to buy expensive product.
Yeah. But also, I think in order for the market to grow, everybody must do his part. I mean, the restaurants must price wines to be affordable for the consumers. Hotels and theme shops, the markup should be reasonable, and everybody should do his part.
We were discussing, a few times before that online availability of alcohol.
Yeah.
I think that is not happening in India. What's your thought about that?
It's becoming the norm everywhere else in the world. Everywhere else, there are different forms of alcohol. You have distillation, which is a fairly complex process, which produces spirits, and you have fermentation, which is a fairly natural process, which produces wine and cider and that sort of thing. Fermentation is the base of food. I mean, without fermentation, we humans would die.
Yeah.
A lot of our food products are due thanks to fermentation. So I think it's time for, especially the authorities, to understand that wine, particularly, is a very natural product. Fermentation happens naturally, and the transformation of sugar into alcohol is a completely normal process. There are many studies who have shown the benefits of drinking moderately wine. It's heavily documented. It's heavy, and one of the reasons that the Chinese market grew so much in the last from the mid 90s to now is a policy decision by Beijing that Baidu and the other Chinese drinks that were extremely widespread, high alcohol content, and often distilled at home in so and so condition. There was a policy decision, which is for the public health reason, to push wine, to reduce the consumption of harmful alcohol. And that was a public policy, and they promoted it, which is good for the health of the country. And I think that's one of the reasons of success of wine in China. And I think the Indian government and governments at state level should look at what happened and maybe take some lessons out of it.
So, what do you think? Making wine in India is a profitable business?
That's a tough one. We have had a lot of issues between the demonetization, the highway ban, COVID, but wine as an industry is creating value in India. There's absolutely no doubt about it. That value is mostly today in the retail elements of the market and in taxation. Wine is heavily taxed. Then the way Indian state governments look at wine is effectively taxing water. If you compare the price per degree of alcohol of taxation between whiskey and wine, you see that water is taxed, which is crazy. No other country in the world taxes water.
Yes.
Right? India does. So it's time to rework that.
Yeah.
But the other thing to keep in mind is wine, grapes for wine use poor land that nobody wants, a bit rocky, not very fertile, It uses very little water compared to any other crop, and it produces a high value per acre of land, agricultural land. For farmers, it's growing wine will help solve the rural economy problem. It creates a high value product out of poor land with very few resources. So no damages to the environment, very few water, very few chemicals and pesticides. We don't need tons of fertilizers. And it still produces a high value per acre. So there are economic benefits and help for governments to help the wine industry.
Wine tourism, I think a few of the country, they are doing fantastic job. And one of the best example is South Africa. I think they're doing a great job with wine tourism. What is your view about wine tourism here?
It's very much a focus of ours. In the next months, we'll make a few announcements on wine tourism. But as part of growing our company and our business, we'll push for wine tourism. And I hope other wineries, especially around Nasi, participate in that effort, because it's by creating a network of wineries with wine tourism capabilities that will help the business.
And last but not the least, wine in a can. So how convinced you are with the concept?
No, I think from a scientific point of view, the concept is sound, right? I think India is a new country to wine, so it doesn't have the prejudice on wine that you can have in Italy or France, where wine has to be in a bottle, it has to be in a cork.
Regulations are very strict and
Yeah. So in India, you can have a screw cap, you can put it in a can, you can put it in other forms, anything that helps the consumer better understand and better appreciate is good. So I'm thankful for some of our competitors who have introduced wine in a can. I think India is happy to experiment. The Indian consumer is very tech savvy, is very approachable in terms of innovation. So let's innovate. We can't rely on a business model of 2,000 years from Western Europe to go.
I think India is a young country, and we normally say that 50% of the Indian population is below 35 years age. So I think there is a great scope to go ahead in one decade.
Absolutely, and we are convinced of it, and we are doing our best.
Done, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
It's a
your
pleasure.
time. And this is a small gift from our side.
Ah,